Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. There's a bumper midweek of football in action that we've all been enjoying, and we'll look back on that. I'm not sure Alan was probably enjoying it that much, but Micah was working hard, as always, in the studio for CBS. Alan, you were at St James's Park, but even you couldn't inspire the Toon Army onto another famous win. I've got to start, though, with you, Micah. Did I see a little clip on social media this morning of you possibly splitting your trousers on air?
Oh, my God. There's always something. There's literally... why always Meeks? Why always
What
Meeks?
happened? Did you breathe out?
It's my big fundifies, isn't it, Alan?
I thought you were going to say something else then.
So basically, we have a commercial break, and it's we're working for CBS in London from the London studio. And at halftime, there's something called the Heineken halftime. So we have to describe...
Other beers are available.
Yes. Well said, Gary. And it comes to halftime, and Mbappe scored. And I've called it. I said he's going to score first. It come true, so then...
Canel, you put your neck on the line then.
We described the goal, and I'd run out of things to say. So basically, I just mimicked his celebration. And if you know the Mbappe celebration, he jumps, folds his arms, and just stands there like some sort of king. So, as I've done it, I've sort of jumped, and I've just heard, and I've ripped my trousers. But I'm with, you know what Carragher's like, Jamie Carragher. If you don't know him, he can't let things go. So basically, he said to me, have I just seen a book? Do you know what I mean? We're live on TV, and he's saying, have I just seen a book? So I've gone back to my seat to sit down, and he's trying to show the crowd what's going on with my... It was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's good to hear you in good spirits, Alan. Despite last night's defeat, that was a downer, wasn't it? After such a great run of results.
No, I got the call a couple of weeks ago to ask if I fancied doing the core comms for Radio 5, BBC Radio 5, and I thought, yeah, of course, yeah, I'll do it, absolutely. Anyway, I got there yesterday in Newcastle. All day and all night was absolutely pissing down. So I thought that'll be fine. We're sat in the press box, no problem. And it wasn't that cold. From the moment I sat in my seat at about 6 o'clock to the moment I left it at 10:30, I got absolutely drenched. Newcastle were poor. Game wasn't great. It was like, yeah. I mean, Dortmund came and did a job on Newcastle. You know, I said about the PSG game a few weeks ago that I thought they were a bit undercooked and they didn't expect what Newcastle to do and all that. Well, Dortmund did. They played the crowd really well, and they played the game brilliantly.
How do you play a crowd, Alan?
Well, because you play a crowd because you know that the Newcastle fans are going to be whipped up beforehand. They wore flags, did a great thing again all around the stadium, getting everyone pumped up. It was great Champions League music, great atmosphere again. So what Dortmund did is they silenced the crowd. You know, whenever we used to go to Anfield, that was always what we tried to do. You just try and, I don't know, waste time. Ball goes out, someone will go down injured. Keep the ball as much as you can, frustrate the crowd. Well, they did that, and then they played a high-risk football. When they won the ball, they committed so many men forward, and I mean, they missed 2 or 3 sitters. Great save from Nick Pope, I have to say, but it should have been in the back of the net.
A couple of injuries as well, I believe. I mean, I didn't see the football last night. I was actually out at the theatre.
Yeah.
And
Newcastle had a couple of injuries. Isak went off after 10 or 15 minutes. Murphy then came on in the second half also. He then, 10 minutes later, had to go off. He was injured. So, yeah, it wasn't, all in all, it wasn't a great night for Newcastle. I mean, they hit the bar twice in the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But I've got to be honest and say I thought the best team won, and they deserved to win. And Newcastle's next game in the Champions League is away at Dortmund. So it's a really tight group. I think PSG are on 6 points. Dortmund is second on 4 points. Newcastle are on 4 points also. And Milan are on 1 point, I think.
It was always going to be a tough group, though. It
was a big game. That was a huge game last night. Because if Newcastle had won, it'd have put them on 7 points. And they're looking at qualification straight away. But it was a game that Dortmund had to win, and they did. And as I said, I thought they were the better team and deserved to win.
Did anyone stand out, Al, from Dortmund?
Yeah, Schlotterbeck, centre half, played really well. Hummels played really well. Marlon on the wing played really well. Wolf, the right back, the goalkeeper, Korbel.
Got some good players.
I thought they were a really good team. I mean, they've played, I think, 8 Bundesliga games. They've won 6, drawn 2, so they're unbeaten in that. I know that their first 2 games in the Champions League didn't go to plan, but I thought they looked a really well-organised, well-drilled team last night and played really well and deserved to win.
Before we move on, did I just hear Gary say he was at the theatre last night?
Hey, that's a sign of getting old, isn't it? Did you take your coffee with you, or did you have, your hot chocolate or something? Was it nice?
Theatre is a thing for all people, Alan, of all ages to enjoy. It was...
Micah, what have you got to say to that? Anything?
Hold on. We have one of the best broadcasters, if not the best, on Champions League nights has gone to the in theatre.
What did you go and see, Gary?
I went to see Truman and the Arsonists.
Was it any good?
It was really fun, actually. It was actually a night, special night, and I spoke a bit afterwards. It was a special night for young actors from working class backgrounds, because it's a little bit of a kind of tough world to get in acting, unless you kind of got famous dads and all that kind of stuff. So, and it was fun. It was a play written by it was an old Frisch play, but it was rewritten by a friend of mine, Simon Stevens. He was a great playwright, and but I did watch, because I'm such a pro, Micah. I watched all the highlights of the Champions League games this morning. So there you go.
Did you take a lovely lady with you last night, Gary?
No, I went on my own, Micah.
Bullshit! You went on your own, did you? You went to the fucking theatre on your own?
With my friend who wrote the play.
Oh, that's all right. And you didn't go on your own, did you?
Okay.
I mean, come on.
No,
right,
anyway.
okay.
So I wasn't at the Theatre of Dreams or anything. What game were you watching, Micah?
I was watching PSG AC Milan. That was the main game, but in the background you have sort of all the games.
Because you're CBS, I suppose you don't have a need to show necessarily the games from British side.
Yeah, we go with Tuesday night we had the Man United game, which obviously was massive.
Yeah.
In terms of
that penalty save, Onana, who's had a tough time, hasn't he? In fact, the 2 players that were key. I mean, I did watch all the games. Well, that game particularly on Tuesday night, and it was lovely to see Maguire score the goal. He's obviously had a tough time in many ways, and he's bounced back brilliantly in the last couple of weeks. And Onana as well, who's he's had his problems over the first few weeks, and to make that penalty save, it could be sort of a turning point for him, and Maguire, I think, probably already turned the corner.
It was just massive. Obviously, I'm the blue half of Manchester, and when Maguire scored, I was cheering like I was a Man United fan because of the amount of stick he's had and what he's overcome, so mentally strong. And then Onana in the last minute, and it was Henrik Larsson's son who missed the penalty, wasn't he? He steps up. I thought he's going to coolly slide it home. But what a save from Onana, because we all know Onana's not been up to scratch, but to get that moment, it was massive.
They didn't. It was an awful game, wasn't it? Really, it wasn't. They didn't play well at all, but they didn't have to. It's just about getting that result.
Absolutely, I was pleased for Harry Maguire. Well, obviously he was a former Leicester player. We loved him there. and it's kind of been an up and down time for him. He's always done brilliantly with England. I think he's underrated. I have done for a long time, and I think the reason for that was that the kind of ridiculous price tag that Manchester United paid, and that's not his fault. But I think if you get, what was it, 70-80 million, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So if you're paying that, and you're getting a centre half, I think that counted against him a little bit. Yes, he can be caught on the turn against the very best and the very quickest, but I mean, he's a really good player on the ball. He'll knock forward passes. He'll keep it. He's very calm. And he's excellent in both boxes.
He can't defend space though.
Well, that's it. You need someone alongside him with pace. That's for sure.
If you're setting up a team and want to press high, and you've got Harry Maguire on the halfway line, he reads the game really well, but he's just a bit slow on the turn, which is unfortunate.
Do you know what I think? I think he's shown a great attitude. I think he's been a great example to a lot of people. When things aren't going that well, it'd be very easy to bury your head in the sand and sulk and do bits that we've seen other players do over the years. But he's got his head down. He's worked hard. He's waited for his opportunity again, and it must have been very difficult for him, because even the manager, I felt at times, wanted him out, didn't give him his full backing in press conferences, etc. So that must have been really difficult as well. So when he's had the opportunity, I think it's really great for him personally that he's actually played well, scored the goal, and he's been able to stick two fingers up to a lot of people who have criticised him.
Have either of you had a spell where the crowd turn against you? I know we've talked about Aston Villa from time to time. I suppose that would be an obvious example. But when it's your home fans, it can't be easy. How do you deal with that?
Honestly, I'm a positive person. I always like to see the good in people or the best in situations. But the hardest time was at Aston Villa. We don't mind the crowd sort of grumbling when things are not going their way, but it was on the tannoy. So we're warming up, and it goes through the names. It goes through the goalkeeper, and then it goes to the defender. I was number 4 at Villa, so I was normally 3rd in the way the numbers. And the goalkeeper, Guzan, boo! Then it'd go to someone else, boo! Micah Richards, the loudest boo you would ever hear. And I used to think, I've got to go play in that. How do I get my mind right for that? But in fairness to the fans, it wasn't personal to me. It was the team. It was are we getting taken over? How have we managed to slump so low? It was frustration at the whole situation, and it was justified at times because that season we were pathetic. But yeah, there was times where I thought,
how were you? Did you get down at all? When you're at home and stuff like that, did it get to you, or are you the sort of person that can kind of brush that to one side? Has to make a difference.
Luckily for me, I was travelling down from Manchester, so I lived in Presbury at the time, which is just the edge of Cheshire. It used to take me about an hour 10 to get into training. If I would have been living in Birmingham, it would have got me down a lot more, because I remember I was in a taxi. So I used to get trained down sometimes from Leeds, it was, to Tamworth. And I got a black cab into training. I'm speaking to a taxi driver, and I've got my hood up, because I know I'm gonna get abused and whatnot. I've got my hood up. And we're just speaking. This taxi driver is the most friendly person, all right. And then we get on to football, loves Villa. Next minute he goes, that fucking Micah Richards. So I'm thinking, I'm not exaggerating, I'm thinking to myself, how do I play
Take
this?
the hood off quick. That's right.
Do I turn into Hulk Big Meeks here and have a go at him? But
Please tell me you said, yeah, he's isn't he?
so it goes on. It goes on, and he's like, yeah, what a waste of space he is. He's coming to the club, taking the money, this, that, and the other. I swear to God, I'm going, yeah, he's a right idiot, isn't he? What a waste of space. So we're agreeing on something. And when I got out the cab, I'm thinking, do they know it's me in the back?
Yeah.
And I got in, and afterwards,
Did you not
just
reveal yourself?
Oh, God.
You did.
Not a chance.
Not at the end. Not when you got out. And you should
He
have
should
got
have
out.
just
And
started laughing. He'd have recognised that laugh, definitely.
What you should have done, Mike, was got out the cab, and when you paid him, you said, "Normally I'm a really big tipper," and then pull the hood down, but not this time.
But yeah, that was the lowest of the low point.
But
But
it's awful.
you get through,
Alan,
don't
I
you?
can't imagine you were ever given. I bet maybe England when you went that bad spell. Did you get anything? Not really.
Nah, not really.
No. Well, you should have done.
Yeah, you're right. I should have done a few times,
Yeah.
but I can't remember any of the home fans having a pop with me. Every away game I used to get hammered, but not the home
Yeah.
fans.
I remember I think I might have mentioned it before, but when I joined Everton and replaced Andy Gray, because he was a big hero there, and the first home game I had, it was like the PA tannoy, whatever you want to call it. They were reading out the names of the team, and it was like, number 4, whatever it was, Peter Reid, Kevin Ratcliffe, Ray, Trevor Stephen, Ray, and I was number 8. It was Gary Lineker, number 8. Boo! And that was my
unbelievable, isn't it?
debut. I mean, it was
Wow.
in defence of a lot of the Everton fans. It was a kind of a minority, but not a tiny minority.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh God.
Here we go. What a start this
what
is.
a start. And it was. I didn't score in my first 3 games, and I was just getting hammered. And then I started scoring, but it took me. I think until around Christmas, and I scored a couple of goals. I think I got 3 goals in the 2 games over the Christmas spell. I think, and one of those games was Man United, and that was the kind of the turning point, and I got accepted. And after that, and they were full of love after that. But it was a tough baptism.
Yeah. So well done, Harry Maguire.
To do with that, yeah. And he's gone about everything the right way, hasn't he? The way he's handled himself, the way he speaks. He's such a good guy. I mean, I know him, I've met him a number of times, and he's such a good guy. And hopefully, this will be the start of a renaissance. And on that, let's take a little breather. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. We're talking, amongst other things, Champions League this week. Good wins for Arsenal. I thought particularly, it's never an easy place to go and play in Sevilla. Unbelievable atmosphere, always there. Jesus was outstanding. His assist and his goal were both high quality, weren't they?
They were brilliant the way he turned and then played Martinelli in, wasn't it? To run down on goal was a great pass, and then he's finished to curl it and bend it in the top corner as he did. Yeah, he was superb, but he went off injured, didn't he? After that, so that we'll have to keep an eye on that for the weekend and see if he's fit.
It was a really good performance given the fact that they'd lost previously to Lens, wasn't it?
Yeah, really good. But just before we move on, I just want to ask you guys as strikers, how good do you think Jesus is? Because I've watched him a lot at Man City, and I always just thought he was a little bit below the real elite. I don't know what you two think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he's a very good striker. I think what he gives you though is terrific energy and a work rate. And I know Alan always goes, "Oh, if it's just about work rate," but he's also a very good player. But he's very good at the press, which is, I think, important in the modern game. His goal-scoring record, if you look at it, is pretty darn good overall. But no, is he a Haaland? Is he a Kane? Is he a Lewandowski? No, I don't. I think it's fair to say that's not the case. But But I think if he stays fit, he does a great job for Arteta's sides, and he can also play anywhere across the front three. So he's below that level, but he's, you'd take him. Most clubs would take him, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd have him at Newcastle, wouldn't you, Al?
I would agree with you. Yeah, because of where Newcastle are. I don't think he's elite. Well, he's not elite, but I think he's a good striker. Yeah, and he'll always get you goals when he's fit. I mean, injuries have been a problem, an issue. But yeah, I wouldn't take anything back what you two guys have said.
Okay. Manchester City, they just march on, don't they? And Haaland, actually, these words don't very often come out of anybody's mouth. He's ended his goal-scoring drought in the Champions League.
What was it, 5 games?
Was something like that, which is, for him, is a lot.
Yeah.
For mere mortals, that's expected. You go little spells of 4, 5, 6 games without goals.
I think it was 7. Was it 7? If I remember correctly.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was about,
543 minutes.
Wow. Man City were outstanding, and I'll move on to Haaland in just a minute, because there's just been this whole talk about Grealish and Doku. Doku's come into the squad, done really well, being a little bit more direct than Grealish. Doku actually played on the right, Grealish started on the left, and Grealish had a really good game. And it's just another dimension for Haaland, because there's so many times the way when Man City had Mahrez, he'd come on into his left foot. Grealish comes onto his right foot from the left. But Doku, he's so sharp when he just goes down the wing and crosses it in. Haaland can now make runs knowing that the ball's going to come into the box. It's a little bit different. But yeah, Alvarez has sort of taken the shine away from Haaland, but his 2 goals.
Well, 37 goals in 33 Champions League performances for Haaland, despite that drought.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Took his penalty really well, and then his second goal, the way he chopped and hit on his right foot and bent it into the far corner, was just brilliant. Ready for the Manchester derby at the weekend.
Absolutely, that's coming up. But before that, did you see the attire? And speaking as we've got 2 of the 3 of us are fashion icons, obviously, yourself and me, Micah. What did you make of their outfits with that strange top and hugely baggy jeans?
Tommy Hilfiger and Hugo Dross, the both of you. Micah, I'm going to let you go first because I think you already know my opinion. And before we go any further, name and numbers on the back of the cardigans.
Yeah.
Come on.
I must admit, that was would you go out in that, Micah?
No, I mean,
even if you'd had a good game, would you go out with big Meeks on the back of your jumper, or your back of your cardigan, with number 2 on your back?
Not even I would do that. I mean, come on.
What happens? I mean, they must go to the captain or the players' committee and
I should explain here, probably for our listeners that perhaps didn't see the game or didn't see the pre-match coverage or the social media stuff, that the Manchester City players coming off the bus, this is into the ground, so all wearing sort of light, hugely baggy denim jeans with like a dark cardigan, with their number and name on the back like it was a football shirt. I'm not sure it'll catch on.
But it wasn't the fact that, okay, you can have your name and number, but if it was nice and discreet on the front or what, it's massive. Big, massive, bold Haaland, number 9.
What about this? If you finish the game and you've had an absolute stinker,
can you imagine?
And you're going out to the car park, there's no hiding, is there? You got your bloody name on your back.
Oh God, you have to win when you're walking out like that, don't you? I mean, can you imagine if they hadn't won last night? I mean, who are we? Who are we?
But they always win, don't they? They're good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, how does it work? Someone must say, right, guys, we're going to put this to the players' committee. Well, this is what we're going to wear. We're thinking of giving you a cardigan to wear. What? Actually, you mean from the hotel on the bus to get off at the ground. You're not on about in the dressing room. Yeah, we're going to give you a number and your name on the back of a cardigan to the players committee, and you've got to take that to the rest of the players. I would assume that's how it works, isn't
The
it?
thing is, though, they've got us talking. They've done exactly
what they want,
what it was supposed to do. I think D Squared is the sponsor. They're thinking, okay, how can we get some more publicity? If we get the names and numbers on the back of this, everyone's going to know what it is. So
You know what it is? Next, the ambassador's coming into match of the day with that same gear on, Gaz.
I'm wearing a little
I can see
top.
it.
I'm wearing a little next top today. It's got my name on the back. Don't know what number it is. Got a
Micah,
dartboard.
we want you dressed in one of those cardigans for the next match of the day we're all on together.
shall I see if I can get
See
one?
if you can't get one, the ambassador of Man City.
Who can? Who can?
We'll get fined at BBC though. What, we're not allowed to sponsor stuff, are we?
I want to give a brief mention to Celtic because I thought that there was a good performance. They're so close to getting that win that has eluded them for so long at home there, and the 2 goals they scored were excellent.
Had a great start as well, didn't they? After about 3 or 4 minutes, because I was doing the radio, as I said, the Core-Coms live. So, and every time a goal went, we can hear news from Celtic Park, another goal. It was like, and you could hear the atmosphere there. So I can imagine what it was like.
I've been to a few Champions League nights there when I covered them, obviously for BT. God, that's an atmosphere when it gets going. I saw them play Barcelona there a couple of times. I think they won one of them actually. So it's a special place.
Still going to be a bit much, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
They needed the 3 points last night, didn't they? I know that it's not mathematical, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Draw against Atletico Madrid's a decent performance. I can't let this particular podcast go. We're recording this on Thursday morning without a little mention for a former club of mine, Tottenham Hotspur, now 2 points clear. If they win at Palace on Friday, tomorrow, they'll be 5 points clear. Title over, no?
Well, hold on. I'm going to ask you that question again. Are they a better team without Harry Kane?
And therefore, we're going to ask you the question once again, Micah, that you have refrained from answering repeatedly. Are you saying, Micah, that Tottenham Hotspur are a better team without Harry Kane?
I'm saying the rest of the team have stepped up.
Honestly. Say what you think. I mean, I must say it's quite... I had this conversation last night with a couple of Spurs fans at the theatre, and they weren't saying about. They were saying, "Can you imagine if somehow Tottenham won the league? They got no European football. Obviously, they can concentrate. They're out of the Carabao Cup. If they manage somehow to win the league, which is still obviously highly unlikely, and Harry Kane doesn't win it this time. I mean, football fans are a bit cruel, aren't they? But I think it's fairly unlikely. But God, blimey, can you imagine?
Oh, I wonder what Harry's thinking.
Here's a question, Alan. What do you think? We moved around a little bit, all of us during our careers. When you leave a club, even if it's you didn't leave your beloved club, I left Leicester. Would Harry Kane be enjoying this, or would he not? Because don't forget, he's a die-hard Tottenham man, Tottenham fan, and all that. Will he be loving it, but there must be part of him going, Christ,
there
they're
must
doing
be a
much
part
better
of him
without
thinks,
me. Why is if he's because we're human beings.
I mean, I don't see them winning the league. They've had a brilliant start to Postecoglou's reign, and without Harry Kane. But I don't see them winning the league. No. But there must be a part of Harry thinking, can you imagine? There has to be, doesn't it? It's only human nature. I still think at some stage they will start to miss him and his crucial goals that he got. But they are out of one competition already. They're not in Europe. If they can
keep everybody fit, I mean, let's look at the two partnerships they've got at each end of the pitch.
Yeah.
Son and Maddison are if they can keep that, they're superb. Obviously, Son in the 9 role is looking exceptional, back to his best. Maddison's been brilliant, and he is brilliant. And at the back, Van de Ven and Romero. Is there a better defensive partnership in the Premier League at the moment? You perhaps look at Manchester City, but they tend to move around their partnership so much. What do you think, Micah, as a defender?
No, I think you're probably right. The only thing I would say about Spurs is Romero. He tends to get a little bit excited from time to time.
Is that a bad thing?
No,
he can get himself a red card at a moment.
Exactly.
In a big game,
He lets the emotion get the better of him sometimes. But as for a pairing right now, this season, they've been exceptional. Van der Ven just to come in and be so cool and calm and collected and positioning.
Keeper's done well as well, Keeper's done well as well.
Have you seen his recovery pace, though? Van der Ven?
Yeah.
For a big lad, he can shift. Yeah, they're doing great stuff at the moment, Spurs. So let's see if they can sustain it.
I suppose perhaps the fairer way of posing the Kane question would be, if he were there now, would Spurs have a much better chance of winning this league?
Yeah, of course you have to see.
How could you not?
I mean, he's a world class player, Micah.
Could he not play Ange Ball?
I'm not saying to have Kane. Any team would have Kane.
I suppose the question actually is, if you're looking at it on a tactical perspective, can Kane press like Son presses?
Not at the same intensity.
Because he does like that high press, doesn't he? The same intensity. Yeah.
Well, you take Richarlison, however, out and put Kane in, put Son into wherever, and I mean, Son, Maddison, and Kane would be unbelievable.
But Son's playing great up the top, and the pressing and the high thing and that. Can you?
It's different. How many times do we see Spurs last season where everything has to go through Harry Kane? At times, the reason why Spurs are playing so well at this moment, because on the counter-attack, the stretching teams, people are staying in their actual positions. Last season, everything had to come through Kane. It'd come really deep and then play it out wide, then try get in the box. Now, they can go from back to front way quicker than they can.
All right, Micah, let me ask you this then. Are Spurs a better team without Harry Kane?
Come on, Micah, get off that fence. You've got creosote all over your ripped trousers.
Come on, I used to be that and come out with that I started the punditry as well. Come on. We'll try once more, Gary. Come on, Micah.
Micah, are Spurs better without Harold Kane?
Ask me in April.
Toast, come on.
Oh dear. Let's finish a couple of minutes looking ahead to the Manchester derby. Tell me what it's like to play in a Manchester derby, Micah.
Oh my God, it's the only game that I got nervous for.
Did you?
I mean, I've had some really good games. I remember the first one I played, real good one. It was at home, and I marked Tevez out of the game, and Alan Hansen said I was going to be the best centre-half ever to grace.
What marks did you get in the newspapers that I know you're so obsessed about on the next morning?
I think I got a 9.
A 9?
I got a 9. And that was all the papers, it was the Daily Mail, the Sun, News of the World back then. I think they even give me a 9.
Closest you'll ever get to R9. Richard's 9.
And then I had the moment which we've talked about with Sean Wright Phillips, where basically I didn't cover him and he got the blame, and I had an absolute nightmare in that game.
A 4?
We had
get a 4?
Probably a 3. But then we had the 6-1 where I got man of the match. One of the greatest ever victories at Old Trafford, bombing down the right-hand side. I just
Didn't you give an assist to Aguero that day?
Of course I did. Do you remember it like yesterday? We talked about the crossing.
What's it like after a game like that when you've won a big game in Manchester? I presume you went on a night out.
Oh my God!
Milking
did I
it.
go on a night out?
Milker
But you
Richards.
didn't have your foot up then, didn't you? Hiding who you were.
You know what? We need to talk about this, and we need to, because we've all won things, we've all done good things within the game. When you win something, you know, when people always say, keep your feet on the ground. I couldn't keep my feet on the ground. I thought I was mayor of Manchester when I won the Premier League. I remember, I'm not exaggerating, we won the Premier League, and it was around the time where we were sort of waiting if we was going to get in the squad for the Euros, and we talked about Hodgson and him not including me, so we won't go there again. So I don't know what's happening, and then we went out after we won the league, and then we went out again. I went out, I'm not exaggerating, for 2 weeks straight.
That's a long night out.
And it was just like, I was on cloud nine. That feeling, I've never been able to replace it. It was just absolute carnage. And yeah, them memories. I don't know how someone can win a treble, then the next season go again, and the next season go again. Like, when I won the league, I thought, I've done what I need to do in life.
Well, you pretty much retired, didn't you, to be honest, after that, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
But it must be on the flip side, though, Micah. You know, if you're playing one of those derbies and you've been beaten, you must want to go and just sit in your house all night. You don't want anyone to see you. Or did you go out, or did you still go out and have a drink?
No, to be honest, I didn't. When we lost, I didn't want to be seen as well. But what I used to do, I used to read all the comments, didn't I? That Richard's out of position again. Oh, I used to read everything. Absolutely everything. I used to go for, and there's always that fan, oh, we need a new right back, or we can't trust youth. He's not learning, he's not improving, he's always out of position.
He's always out in the nightclub.
Yeah, pace is always getting him out of trouble. You know, all them sort of comments, and yeah, it was tough.
Yeah,
what about you, Gary? You've played in some massive derby.
Well, there's a big one this weekend. It's not a derby, although in my day it was called El Derby, which is, of course, El Clásico now, which is being played this weekend at, well, it's not at the Camp now because they're renovating the stadium. It'd be played at the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic. And I don't know whether I've ever mentioned it before, but the first time I played in one of those at the Camp now, I scored a hat-trick, Micah.
Boom, boom, boom. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the programme, because no one can top that.
Jude Bellingham scored again the other night. He's got his first Clásico to look forward to, so that'll be exciting, something to look forward to this weekend. But you're right, Alan. What better place to finish than 3 goals in El Clásico? Adios!
Adios!
See you later.
Bye-bye.